Sounds lo-fi, because it is. Goodness gracious, everybody. It is Saturday, second episode of theeOPSON. I am excited. But yo, no problem. No problem, Galeem. Thank you so much for the shout out. It does mean a whole lot that you remembered. But yes, Kupla, those were the days. And yes, it is. It is lo-fi. You have good ears. But yo, what is up, everybody? Like I said, it is the second episode of theeOPSON, and I hope you guys are excited for what is in store for tonight. So we kind of talked about this, saying this isn't, I'm not trying to be one of those doom and gloom, channels and all that. Also, shout outs to YouTube. I mean, multi-streaming there as well, as long as with Twitch. This might be a good format for me at the moment. But yeah, we'll probably go what we did last week. We'll probably be on YouTube for a bit, and then we'll have some more extra content on Twitch. So for those that are seeing this on YouTube, you can get some more content on Twitch. That's where I'm usually from, just trying to make some YouTube money. But okay, let's do this, y'all. So the new normal. Today's podcast is about the next industrial revolution, or the fourth industrial revolution, as well as the Great Reset. Lo-fi is my background music, so I know. Definitely, right? Definitely, if it's like your thing, or you definitely like that particular thing, you're gonna like know it because it's like part of you. It's your soul, right? At least that's how I feel with like certain things where I'm like, yeah, I know that sound because that's what I like. That's what I like Bruno Mars. Okay, so yes, the new normal. This is kind of what I've spoken about, with the pandemic, have happened, is happening still, moving forward, what is going to happen. And, I've seen stuff similar to this. This is something that I've just found out today. I actually watched a little bit earlier. Sorry about that. Earlier today, but certain things happen, so I'm gonna finish it today. but we'll all watch it together. We'll see what we think, because this is going to be what, you know, the world is going to be striving for. And we'll see how, you know, I will be doing this for a minute. You know what I'm saying? I will not stop the podcast. I honestly want to make it so I can to be doing these podcasts like 7 days a week. That is the goal for at least this particular project that I have going on. Because, you know, it's at least with like normal consumption of like media and just like content, stuff like that, it's always nice to like intake like stories, like movies and other things. But once like these stories start becoming semi real life, or we like see certain interesting things like these events, yeah, this kind of gets like, whoa, this is real life. It's real exciting, right? Things are changing. Like this video's kind of like hinting at the new normal. Wat straat op het spel? I don't know. I'm not gonna continue that. I'm totally butchering something, but yeah, let's do this. I hope you guys are excited as I am. But yeah, if you guys are new to the channel, especially on YouTube, because this is like my second podcast, or at least the second episode of this particular podcast, as I just created it. You know, hit that subscribe, hit that notification button, give this video a like if you enjoy what you are liking so far. Let's get on to this. So this is like a United
March
Kingdom.
11, 2020, the World Health Organization declared an outbreak of SARS-CoV-2.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
Since then, we've been locked down 4 times.
I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
We've received a daily death toll.
The UK death toll now stands at 3,605.
We've been refused medical treatment.
Coronavirus is having a devastating effect on cancer treatment.
We've received curfews.
Boris Johnson will tomorrow institute a 10 p.m. curfew on pubs up and down the country.
We've had our businesses
Yeah, so
closed.
this is all like UK stuff.
You know what's going on is wrong. You know it as well.
We've lost jobs.
COVID gave me 2 new
We've been
hobbies, so I'm
restricted
glad for that.
from seeing loved
Right.
ones.
Hang on a minute, don't take her away. Hey!
It's good
don't
that
take her away!
people
Don't take
have been
her
able to stay
away!
positive and like
We've not been allowed to
be
socialise.
proactive.
In the months before his death, Christopher posted a series of messages on Facebook about his struggles with the lockdown.
We've been forbidden to protest.
Tell me what law I've broken. You cannot tell me any law that I've broken. Speak to me.
We've been assaulted.
Hey, look what they're doing. Look at this all right. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oi! 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 It's all right.
We've been arrested and fined.
What a disgrace. You must have mothers. What an outrage. She was an old lady robbed of her dignity for having the courage to protest.
All this has been imposed using bad data.
The ONS data this week came out and said that it had been downgraded. So the lockdown 2 was based again on dodgy numbers.
False infection rates.
According to a report in this morning's Times, 30% of test results give false positive.
The app will only tell you to self-isolate if you've been in close contact with somebody who's tested positive.
Yeah, but they could be false positives.
Well, you will have had to be in close contact with somebody for it to tell you to
interesting.
self-isolate.
Yeah, but their test in itself might have been a false positive.
And inflated mortality rates.
The definition of a coronavirus death is someone who dies for any reason within 28 days of a positive test.
Now they have accelerated the release of a vaccine. But will life return to normal?
I mean, just simple words there, reacting it. You're quite emotional by that.
Well, it's just,
you know, it's been such a tough year for so many people, and
So yeah, we always
you know,
got to
we
remember
can
that
get on with our lives.
videos
Or
like
we
these
see a new
are,
normal, a world with harsh, tyrannical rules,
you know,
governed
they're
by a centralized totalitarian
presented
state.
to be a certain way. Stir up emotions a certain way, you know?
Since COVID-19 was declared a pandemic, many have speculated that it's been planned by a group of tech elites who are dictating to governments globally. But do these ideas carry any weight? And what might their motives be for orchestrating a global pandemic? To understand, we must first explore a significant shift that's been taking place in our economy, one that only a minority of people are aware of. It's called the Fourth Industrial Revolution. To date, there have been 3 industrial revolutions. The first happened in the late 1700s with the invention of the steam engine, which led to the creation of factories and a booming textile industry. In the late 1800s, the Second Industrial Revolution was marked by mass production, as well as new industries like steel and electricity. And the third happened in the late 1900s, which saw the invention of the computer and the internet.
I've always
Now, the
was curious
Fourth
about like
Industrial
the age
Revolution
of this, age
describes
of
the
that, like
emergence of artificial intelligence and how
where
it
are we
integrates more with humans.
in modern times. The age of what?
Artificial intelligence, or AI, can already be seen in our daily lives, from how we check out at the supermarket to how we check in for a flight. But it's far more advanced than most people realise. In August 2020, entrepreneur Elon Musk gave a demo of
I
his
remember
new
this. I
company,
talked about this.
Neuralink. Connected to our brains with tiny wires,
He's doing it with
this
pigs.
microchip is synced with AI,
Like testing it on pigs.
enabling humans to control anything, from prosthetic limbs to computer games.
It's supposed to be your car,
This working proof of concept has already been fitted into
but
people.
you know the future.
It has the potential to completely transform the way we interact online.
So there's actually a lot of functions that this device could do related to monitoring your health and warning you about a possible heart attack or stroke or other
I'll take another digital
damage,
age,
as well as,
right? I think it'll be
sort
cool.
of convenience features like playing music. You can do a lot.
I mean, this is it. This is the
sort of like
Great
if you're
Reset, the Fourth Industrial
blowing away your brain
Revolution.
or something.
It's a cyborg. It's a combination.
There you
it's
go.
a combination of electronics and biology.
This is what we've been waiting for.
Things are getting more and more connected.
Kai-Fu Lee is the former president of Google China and Microsoft Research China, as well as the author of
AI
New York Times
superpowers.
bestseller, AI Superpowers, China, Silicon Valley, and the New World Order. Kai-Fu believes that China will be the AI superpower within 5 years.
I'd honestly would
For those
like
of you who haven't been to China for the 3
cybernetic
years,
replacements.
please be careful when you go because your credit card
I mean,
and
for
cash
those
may
that
not be
do need
accepted.
it, definitely this time.
China has pretty much
But
been
like,
taken
if my
over by
eyesight were to
mobile
go,
payments.
I'd definitely
in the age of AI,
go
if
for robotic
data
eyes.
is the new oil, then China is the new Saudi Arabia.
One concern that is topical in the development of AI
I've seen like half
is
of
the
this already,
displacement
so
of
I'm not
jobs.
like too
Robots are clearly replacing people's jobs. They're working 24/7.
But
They're
it's
more
beautiful,
efficient.
like, to see
Therefore,
stuff
are you
like this, like the
convinced
robots.
long term that we're going to have a jobs problem in the world?
Not long term, but maybe in the next 10 years, within the next 10 years.
You mean it's going to happen much sooner?
Much sooner. If a lot of people will find
Doesn't
happiness
matter. We're all
without
gonna
working,
eventually go
that
to
would be a
robots.
happy outcome.
Don't matter about ethics.
At Amazon fulfillment centers, robots transport items to humans, who then pack them to be delivered. Amazon believes that within 10 years, they will not need a single human to fulfill an order. According to the World Economic Forum, 50% of the workforce will need reskilling by 2025.
This is what I thought. Automation,
And it's likely that
right?
only a fraction of these will find work.
Pandemic.
Resulting in a large proportion of the workforce becoming unemployed.
Unemployed. Now just like push for automation.
Pretty good chance we end up with a universal basic income or something like that.
Ooh,
due to
universal
automation.
basic income.
You know, people have time to do other things and have more complex things, more interesting things, so they're more leisure time. And then we've got to figure out how we integrate with a world in the future with advanced AI.
Oh yeah, definitely.
One idea that is
what you're
gaining
doing,
popularity
yeah. Job security
is
is
to
there.
charge tech companies with a robot tax, which can be distributed to the unemployed as a universal basic income.
I don't think the robot companies are going to be outraged that there might be a tax.
There you go. But yeah, there's definitely a large labor
okay.
force, like physical labor force. that once automation kind of like puts them out of business, it is like what do they do?
Jobs will be faster
And there are like people that are going to be like
compared
in their 40s
to new
when this
ones,
happens.
Being created.
This is Klaus Schwab, the author of this book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution. He's also the executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, which is funded by the largest global enterprises and whose members include CEOs, heads of state, and government ministers from countries such as the UK and US.
The fourth industrial revolution will impact our lives completely. It will change actually us, our own identity, and of course gives life to such policies and developments like smart traffic, smart government, smart cities.
Yeah,
in June 2019, the UK government
VR,
published details about their partnership with the World Economic Forum,
where it's not like
in a
virtual
policy
reality,
called
but augmented
Regulation
reality.
for the Fourth Industrial Revolution. 1 year later, in June 2020, the World Economic Forum released this promotional video entitled The Great Reset.
The Great Reset. This is that New World Order ASMR, where we're taking over your mind.
The purpose for this film is to imply that everything from economics to our culture needs
I surrender
to change.
to our machine overlords.
After the reset,
Our system needs a reset.
it shows images of digital technology, biological cells, populations, cash, climate change, traffic management. And this. Seem familiar?
Seem familiar.
This promotional video was released 6 months before Margaret Keenan received
They're
the
trying
first
to emphasize that
COVID-19
this was all
vaccine.
engineered. This is a new world order taking over. This isn't like, oh, what
In
a,
November
you know,
2020,
we were just like
Time
bound to
magazine
have some
published
super
the Great
virus.
Reset on their front cover.
Just
The World Economic
trying to
Forum's
tinfoil
managing
hat some
director,
people.
Jeremy Jargans, believes that it will have a devastating impact on our economy.
You know, if we look at the Great
will.
Reset, you know, we're still at the early stages of a global crisis.
But that's like
that's
just
gonna
progress
forever,
and like future, you
transform
know, if you
society.
think about it.
You know, when it
I mean,
first started,
it's
people
terrible
said,
that some
okay,
people will be
this is
displaced,
the biggest
but
crisis to hit
like
since
that's why we have to
2007,
ease
2008 financial
ease our way
crisis.
into it somehow.
And then a
Make
little
it
bit
so
later,
some people don't
said,
have to
oh, wow,
like
this
be
is the
that
biggest
affected.
crisis since World War II. Now we're looking at them and saying, oh, look, this is comparable to what happened in the Great Depression.
Politicians are also endorsing the campaign.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset. This is our chance to accelerate our pre-pandemic efforts
Very
to
specific words are
reimagine
being
economic
used.
systems.
History would look at this crisis as the great opportunity for reset.
All elements of the Great Reset are fundamental to building the future we need.
And it's even promoted by the royal family, who posted this video on their YouTube page.
Just look at hold on,
Great
like
Reset hashtag.
if you
The great
if you go back to this, look how much
reset.
dislikes
All
there
elements
are
of
on
the
this
Great
video.
Reset are fundamental to building the future we need.
And it's even
try to find this
promoted
video on
by the
YouTube.
royal family, who posted.
Look at that, 12,000 dislikes. June 3rd, 2020.
Did this video on their YouTube
I've
page.
seen these videos too,
Great
where it's like the
Reset
Great
hashtag.
Reset.
We are on the verge of catalytic breakthroughs to our view of what is possible and profitable within
This is the future.
framework
Like this is
of a
what is going to be
sustainable
pushed
future.
for. So if you're
We need
investors like
nothing short
me,
of a
like you know,
paradigm
kind of
shift,
like
one that inspires
what
action at
sectors to
revolutionary
go for.
levels and pace. We simply cannot waste
If
any more
you're
time.
some activists,
The only limit is our
this might be
willingness
good,
to
this might be
act.
bad. What's like Noah's Ark? Man, could be.
And the time to act.
Some people
now.
will sink, some
The
people
World
will
Economic
float.
Forum believes that capitalism needs
reset.
to be reinvented. Their Build Back Better slogan has been adopted by politicians across the globe.
This moment also gives us a much greater chance to be radical and to do things differently.
to build back better.
Because we can only build back better if we lean on one another.
Over the last 2 weeks, I've shared my agenda for economic recovery. I call it Build Back Better, because we can't just build back to the way things were before. We have to do it better. And the first plank of my Build Back Better plan rejects the defeatist view that automation and globalization mean we can assure American workers lead to a future made in America.
So what does the world look like after the Great Reset? This social media post by the World Economic Forum demonstrates 8 predictions by 2030. Here are 3 of them. You'll
in his
own
lone
nothing
decade.
And you'll be happy.
Own nothing and be happy. What?
Whatever you want, you'll rent and it'll be delivered by drone. And Western values will have been tested to the breaking point.
Oh, dang.
Many of Boris Johnson's new policies fall in line with the World Economic Forum's objectives. In November 2020, his new Green Industrial Revolution plan
the drone thing is
included a ban
happening
on
now.
petrol
It
and
is.
diesel cars by 2030.
That's going to be a prominent thing in this
Combined with
decade.
other current
For sure.
restrictions,
Drone
such
delivery.
as blocking vehicle access to side roads,
And
causing
autonomous
gridlock on
and
main
like
roads,
automation.
extending the congestion zone, and introducing a pay-per-mile road tax. One might think that he's attempting to remove ownership of cars.
Yeah, I've seen this like Chinese like
The
air
biggest
taxi,
application is the,
like
autonomous
UAP.
driving. This is
It's
going
pretty
to
neat.
replace the entire transportation that we're used to today. You will no longer buy cars.
Hopefully less stolen.
Car is parked
I bet people are going to be
96% of the
innovative though.
time.
They're going to
So
like
it's depreciating. How bad
get
is
my
that
own
for an
drone,
investment?
try to take it from the
Right?
air,
Only 4% of
shoot
the
it down
time
with
is
like
it getting you
tasers
from
or
place A
something,
to place B.
electrocute it,
Imagine there
short
is
circuit it.
Uber that gets here in 30
People are just going to get
seconds,
smarter
and
about
it's very
stealing
reliable,
things.
very clean. And
It's not
there's no
like
nasty
there's nothing
driver
that's going to be
because there's no
perfect.
driver.
Trust me, to like
And it's
prevent
very
everything.
safe.
EMP
Would you
it, yeah.
not buy a car.
You hack it so it delivers it
One thing
to a
about
different
AI is it
location,
gets
but
better
it
with
believes
data.
it delivered
In
it to
10
the right
years
location.
After its first launch, it'll probably be
There's
so
hack,
much
yo,
better than people.
cybersecurity.
Most of us will be afraid
That's
to
why you guys
drive.
are in need right
You
now
know
because
why?
everything's
Because
data.
autonomous vehicles will start talking to each other. They will miss
Yes.
each other by 1 centimeter. And we as humans will become our worst
There are
enemies.
hackers that
'Cause
have a
we're going
hacking
to be the threat
convention
to our lives.
where a
The
guy was
machines are
like,
gonna
I can be
safe.
in my
And pretty soon
apartment
after that,
and I
humans
see
will
a
be disallowed from
I see an
driving.
ATM and I can have it spit out money.
You're a 50 years old
Why
truck
wouldn't they
driver,
hack something
and you
in the
just
air that's
lost your
delivering
job
something to make it
to a
so you can't be
self-driving
tracked?
vehicle.
You
Now,
can't be
there are new
found.
jobs in designing software or in teaching yoga to engineers.
That's
But
what
how
people
does a
go for. If you're a
50-years-old
thief,
truck driver
to do it without it being
reinvent
ever known
himself or
is
herself
kind of what you want, unless you're
as a
like some,
software
I'm a
engineer
black cat
or as
burglar
a
and I
yoga
gotta have
teacher?
everyone know.
Because AI is nowhere near its full potential. All jobs will disappear, new jobs will emerge, but then the new jobs will rapidly change and vanish.
The new
At the World
world.
Economic Forum 2020 annual meeting in Davos, historian, philosopher, and author Yuval Noah Harari warned the audience about the dangers of artificial intelligence.
We hear so much about the enormous promises of technology, and these promises are certainly real, but technology might also disrupt human society and the very meaning of human life in numerous ways, ranging from the creation of a global useless class to the rise of data colonialism and of digital dictatorships.
Wow.
Those
Useless
who fail
class.
in the struggle against irrelevance would constitute a new useless class. And this useless class will be separated by an ever-growing gap from the ever more powerful elite. We are already in the midst of an AI arms race, with China and the USA leading the race, and most countries being left far, far behind. AI will likely create immense wealth in a few high-tech hubs, while other countries will either go bankrupt or will become exploited data colonies. Just think, what will happen to developing economies once it is cheaper to produce cars in California than in Mexico? And what
But
will
I don't think that will
happen
ever be, though.
to politics
We
in
wouldn't
your
want
country
California. Like,
in 20 years?
if there's going to be
when
like
somebody
manufacturing, it's going to be
San
in some like
Francisco or
complete
in Beijing
desert area. It's not going to take
knows
over like the entire state.
Medical and
States aren't going to allow.
history
If they can have
of
like, if
every
they have their
politician
beauty
and
of the
every
state, it's not going to be
journalist
like
in your
random
country,
manufacturing.
including
Think that's
all
impossible.
their sexual escapades, all their
China,
mental
I mean not
weaknesses,
China. California
and all
won't be
their
a
corrupt
manufacturing
dealings.
state where you just
When
see
you
like,
have
oh hey, look,
enough
there's
data,
hella manufacturing
you
plants.
don't need to send soldiers in order to control
Maybe
a
in
country.
like the deserts.
Between the beginning of the pandemic and August 2020 alone,
To keep it
7
where
Silicon
some of the
Valley
third
tech
world won't be
giants
needed,
added nearly
maybe.
2.5 trillion to their market values, 400 billion of which was added by Microsoft. Founder Bill Gates also has an interest in vaccines, where he, through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, owns stock in the vaccine manufacturing companies Pfizer and Moderna. Both companies have been developing a new generation of vaccines that interacts directly with our DNA. Traditional immunization methods involve injecting a dead or a weakened form of the virus. This triggers the immune system to create antibodies, which helps to protect us in the case of a virus getting into our system. Pfizer's and Moderna's new messenger RNA technology, however, is not a standard immunization vaccine, but rather genetic engineering. Instead of injecting a virus into the patient, their approach is to inject synthetic molecules that transport instructions to the cell on how to create antibodies to fight the virus. Up until November 2020, no messenger RNA vaccine had ever been approved for use on humans. On the 21st of November 2020,
doesn't sound bad, but
The Lancet expressed disappointment that
if
the
there hasn't
COVID-19
been
vaccine trial results
any
were announced
positive
via
results,
press
that's
releases,
kind of scary, right?
leaving many scientific uncertainties due to the lack of safety data. The publication also expressed uncertainty on how well the vaccines work in older people or those with underlying conditions, as well as their efficacy in preventing severe disease. In early December 2020, a group of medical doctors from around the world created a video to warn the public about the safety of the vaccine.
Due to the excuse of a global pandemic, the pharma industry has the permission to skip the animal trials. This means that we humans will be the guinea pigs.
This vaccine has been developed too quickly. We have no idea what the long-term effects will be.
Just straight up
An
said we are the
experiment on
guinea pigs.
humanity.
Like,
There
I
is
mean, that's
only
what it means by
limited
skipping the
short-term
animal
safety
testing,
data
but still.
And no long-term safety data to rule
She was
out
just
late
like, not
onset
even beating
negative
around the
effects
bush.
like autoimmune diseases, infertility, and cancers.
Please be critical. Do your own research and don't let the media manipulate you.
This is the first time ever this will ever be launched on the human race. There are so many different awful things that can happen to us, and we need to investigate this before we go forward. This is my alarm call to the world.
On the 19th of December 2020, the CDC published this report by the Advisory Committee on Immunisation Practices. Just one day after the UK initiated
I gotta look at some of
vaccination
those
with
people.
Pfizer-BioNTech
Make sure they weren't
COVID-19
paid.
vaccine, authorities
Gotta
confirmed
fact
2
check 'em.
cases of anaphylaxis, which is a very serious allergic reaction that is rapid in onset and may cause death. On page 6, under the title V-Safe Active Surveillance for COVID-19 Vaccines, 3,150, or 2.8%, of the 112,807 vaccine recipients were unable to perform normal daily activities, unable to work, or required care from a doctor or healthcare professional.
If 60 million people in the UK have the vaccine, we can expect 1.67 million people to be unable to work, unable to perform normal daily activities, and to require care. I don't know how
In the
long
UK alone.
If 6 billion
That's a lot of
people
people.
worldwide have the vaccine, then the number rises to 167 million. And this, remember, is a short-term problem. We don't know what will happen in the medium and long term.
The side effects for the Moderna vaccine sound concerning. We looked. After the second dose, at least 80% of participants experienced a systemic side effect, ranging from severe chills to fevers. So are these vaccines safe?
Well, the FDA, not being pressured, will look hard at that. The FDA is the gold standard of regulators, and their current guidance on this, if they stick with that, is very, very appropriate. And you know, the side effects were not super severe. That is, it didn't cause permanent health problems for the things there. You know, Moderna did have to go with a fairly high dose, and so you know, to get the antibodies. Some of the other vaccines are able to go with lower doses to get responses that are pretty high, including the J&J and the Pfizer. And so there's a lot of characteristics of these vaccines. It's great that we have multiple of them that are going out there. And yes, I think
you know the data better than I do. But the data showed that everybody with a high dose had a side effect.
It's interesting how they're going to Bill Gates
in addition
for
to their interest in vaccines,
all these like vaccination like questions. Like, shouldn't they go to Pfizer
organizations
and like Moderna?
BBC,
like, why is Bill Gates of
Microsoft
Microsoft
provide media representatives
talking about
and in partnership with the World
like
Economic
medical
Forum,
stuff?
Event 201,
like maybe he has his
which
like
simulated
degrees
a coronavirus-induced pandemic
and these
5 months
these
prior
studies
to the actual pandemic.
On behalf of our center and our partners, the World Economic
But
Forum
like, why aren't we
and the
hearing
Bill
from
and
these
Melinda
like
Gates Foundation,
actual
I'd like to extend
companies
a very warm
that
welcome
give us the
to our
vaccine?
audience here in New York. The goal of the
Why is like Bill
Event
Gates the
201
face of it?
exercise is to illustrate the potential consequences of a pandemic and the kinds of societal and economic challenges it would pose.
A new coronavirus spread silently within herds. Gradually, farmers started getting sick. Infected people got a respiratory illness with symptoms ranging from mild flu-like signs to severe pneumonia. The sickest required intensive care. Many died.
I totally forgot this was an hour.
Experts agree, unless it is quickly
I thought
controlled,
this was like 30 minutes.
it could lead to a severe pandemic, an outbreak that circles the globe and affects people everywhere.
The scenario also highlights the very critical role that global business and public-private partnerships play in preparing for and responding to pandemics.
By the turn of the 20th century, 90% of all US refineries were controlled by John Rockefeller, who went on to monopolize the pharmaceutical industry. He had 6 children who founded Venrock, a venture capital company which made investments in tech companies such as Apple and Intel. In 2010, the Rockefeller Foundation released a document called Scenarios for the Future of Technology and International Development, which described a pandemic scenario with the headline, "A world of tighter top-down government control and more authoritarian leadership." During the pandemic, national leaders around the world flexed their authority and imposed airtight rules and restrictions, from the mandatory wearing of face masks to body temperature checks. Citizens willingly gave up some of their sovereignty and their privacy in exchange for greater safety and stability. This heightened oversight took many forms, such as biometric IDs for all citizens. While there's no evidence to suggest that this 10-year-old document has any relation to the current pandemic, it was accurate in predicting many extreme restrictions that are being imposed on us today. Recently, in December 2020, the Rockefeller Foundation published this report. COVID-19 vaccines have arrived, with enough supply to vaccinate as many as 50 million people by the end of January. But these initial doses will do little in the short term to arrest an epidemic that is raging out of control. By the end of January, the country will likely be able to conduct more than 70 million tests each week, a number that is expected to double to 200 million by April 2021. They advised the US government students should be tested at least once a week, every week. Does advice from a large US organisation have the potential to influence UK government policy?
The Health Secretary this evening announced an emergency targeted testing programme for secondary schools.
We've decided to put in place an immediate plan for testing all secondary school age children in the 7 worst affected boroughs of London, in parts of Essex that border London, and parts of Kent.
Hopefully,
the test used to detect positive
if
cases
there are these
is called
like
PCR, and it only
very terrible
requires
side
very small
effects to
samples
the
to see if there's
vaccine,
any virus present.
you know,
now,
these
PCR
kids are gonna have to
doesn't
take
tell
it or at
you if
least be
what it
tested
detects
like
is
once a week.
infectious.
I hope they don't have
may
to take
pick
it
up
once a
on
week.
virus fragments from a past
I hope they'll
infection
be okay.
that isn't currently making you sick. Now, this means there could be false positives, so there's a positive test result, but no active infection.
Let's deal with this test for infection, the PCR. I want to ask you if you think it's reliable enough. Dr. Daniels.
I'm an NHS clinician, and we've got experience with these PCR tests for many, many years. And the reality is, we always take the results with a little bit of a pinch of salt. You test 1,000 people, one of whom is positive, but the test will pick up 6 people if it's got a 0.5% false positive rate. That's significant if it's being used to drive policy decisions.
If you're tested repeatedly, the odds become greater and greater that you will get a positive test, and it's a convenience for whoever is playing some macabre game, because I don't think it's an error anymore. But this industrial scale PCR test, they don't release even the basic information about it, like the false positive rate. It's unbelievable that public health people who do know better, I've spoken to some people in it, and they're embarrassed. They're not even being allowed to characterize and publish the information you would need to know to work out how useful the test is. That's not being done. It's full steam ahead.
Yeah, and then
with the PCR
it's interesting with like social media.
If false positives,
if it doesn't like go along with some social media's like views,
in order to justify
you might
more lockdowns,
be deemed fake news.
In the early 90s, disease mongering was a strategy coined by pharmaceutical companies for creating a disease and scaring people.
It seems like something
then
bad will
offering a
happen, and then
pre-planned
everyone's
drug.
gonna be like, "Oh."
If today's most powerful people wanted to
Hopefully
accelerate
nothing
the shift
bad
towards
happens.
the fourth industrial revolution by removing jobs and reinventing capitalism, this problem reaction solution strategy would be effective in achieving it. 1. Create a problem. Release a coronavirus and declare a global pandemic.
The coronavirus outbreak has been declared a pandemic.
2. Create a reaction. Ramp up fear with a propaganda campaign and destroy the economy by forcing businesses to close.
We are collectively telling cafes, pubs, bars and restaurants to close.
But see, that's like, it's interesting.
Tonight,
Do they have to
as
go
soon
to
as
this
they
extent
reasonably
to be like, okay,
and
we
want
want a great reset, so let's create this
3.
pandemic
Create
if this is
a
like a false
solution.
flag?
Provide the mass unemployed with a universal basic income credited onto the Rockefeller and Microsoft-backed digital IDs that are implanted into our hands.
You can create a digital ID today. It's a natural evolution of the way that we're going to use technology
Natural
to
evolution,
transact
wow.
in daily life. And this
Tony
COVID
Blair
crisis
says
gives an
this.
additional reason for doing that.
Coerce us into taking tech-based vaccines and staying at home, and require us to reside within smart cities with totalitarian-like surveillance.
Well, let's see how long it takes you to find me. Right behind me, you can see just over my left shoulder there. Hello, guys. I've been expecting you.
In return for giving us the universal basic income,
What was
are
that
these the
test
conditions
right
they will
there?
require?
And a lot of cuts, a lot of edited clips.
Smart cities will pullulate with sensors, all joined together by the Internet of Things. And the urban environment is as antiseptic as a Zurich pharmacy. But this technology could also be used to keep every citizen under round-the-clock surveillance. A future Alexa will pretend to take orders, but this Alexa will be watching you, clucking her tongue and stamping her foot. In future, voice connectivity will be in every room and almost every object. Your mattress will monitor your nightmares, your fridge will beep for more cheese, your front door will sweep wide the moment you approach like some silent butler. Your smart meter will go hustling of its own accord for the cheapest electricity, and every one of them minutely transcribing your every habit in tiny electronic shorthand stored, not in their chips or in their innards, nowhere you can find it, but in some great cloud of data that lowers ever more oppressively over the human race. AI. What will it mean? Helpful robots washing and caring for an aging population, or pink-eyed terminators sent back from the future to cull the human race?
Well, wasn't he calling for a great reset?
Why would now be the perfect time to activate it? The answer could be 5G. It's 100 times faster than 4G, and it's now ready to be rolled out. This upgrade in
5G.
performance is essential for digitizing society, connecting humanity more closely with the Internet of Things and artificial intelligence.
They haven't done a very good job about protecting public health, but they've done a very good job at using the quarantine to bring 5G into all of our communities and to begin the process of shifting us all to a digital currency, which is the beginning of slavery.
Hey, Robert F.
Because if they control your bank account, they control your behavior. And we all see these advertisements saying 5G is coming to your community. It's going to make all of your lives so much better. And it's very convincing, I have to say.
This is a game changer.
Because I look at those ads and I think, that's great. I can hardly wait till it gets here. Because I'm going to be able to download a video game in 6 seconds instead of 16 seconds. And is that why they're spending $5 trillion on 5G?
At least for like AT&T,
No.
like service, I can't get
The
it like, in
reason
certain
is
areas.
for
And I don't get
surveillance
4G.
and data harvesting. It's not for you and me. It's for Bill Gates. It's for Zuckerberg. And it's for Bezos.
Why does he sound
and all
scared?
Of the other billionaires. Bill Gates says.
I mean, I
that
think the
his
tone of his voice is
satellite
just
fleet will
his
be able to
voice,
look
like
at
being
every
raspy or something. Maybe
square inch
smoke
of
too
the
much,
planet
but
24 hours a day.
you
That's
know,
only the
scared
beginning.
of technology.
He also will be able to follow you
People
on
think
all
of
of
as
your smart
Orwellian
devices, through biometric
future.
facial recognition, through your GPS. You think that Alexa is working for you. She isn't working for you. She's working for Bill Gates, spying on you.
Bill Gates.
And the pandemic is a crisis of convenience for the elites who are dictating these policies. It gives them the ability to obliterate the middle class, to destroy the institutions of democracy, to shift all of our wealth from all of us to a handful of billionaires to make themselves rich by impoverishing the rest of us.
If you know enough biology and you have
Only
enough
me in here,
computing
says
power
Gilliam,
and data,
yes.
you can hack my body and my brain
Unfortunately,
and my life.
Gilliam, hopefully that won't be for too long for the
Understands us
YouTubers.
better than we understand
But,
ourselves,
yeah,
can
that's
predict
just how it be at the
our
moment.
feelings and decisions, can manipulate our feelings and decisions, and can ultimately make decisions for us. Now, in the past, many tyrants
I wonder if a
and
notification goes
governments
out for
wanted to do
YouTube.
it, but
That says
nobody
like,
understood biology well enough.
I'm a streamer.
And nobody had enough computing power and data to hack millions of people. Neither the Gestapo nor the KGB could do it. But soon, at least some corporations and governments will be able to systematically hack all the people. We humans should get used to the idea that we are no longer mysterious souls. We are now hackable animals. The power to hack human beings can of course be used for good purposes, like providing much better healthcare. But if this power falls into the hands of a 21st century Stalin, the result will be the worst totalitarian regime in human history, and we already have a number of applicants for the job.
Up your arm.
We already have a number
I had to go
of
back to this real quick.
applicants for the job, like providing much better healthcare. We humans should get used to the idea that we are no longer mysterious souls. We are now
I'll be scared of my own power. that's why we got to keep a open or a clear head about going about this, because definitely for sure it is one of those sayings where it is like absolute power corrupts absolutely. So, you know, you gotta be able to use the power and then be able to step away from it. Before, you know, you gotta keep, you know, you gotta like use it sparingly. It can't be like, oh, I have it and now I just use it for everything. You know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to see this. Like, there are a lot of like forums and stuff like that. Like they pull this information from. So it looks like, you know, there was that, you know, the New World something with all the doctors. They had this. I'm curious about this. Yeah, biological knowledge, computing power, data equals ability to hack humans. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's not like a true thing, but definitely for sure, if you have these three things, which I mean, biological will always be a thing, like, you know what I'm saying, that's just everything around us. But if you have this computing power and you have the information and data, you could essentially know like the habits and everything of a human person. You know what I'm saying? Like, your phone pretty much records everything you do. Like, if you have a smartphone and your location is on 24/7, they know what your routine is. Like, if you are going to school, say if you're even in college, they would know what your particular thing would be. At least they would know that at this time on these days you would be here, like at school, yada yada yada. And it's interesting. It's interesting with this. Like, we'll be discussing about this more in the second portion of this stream once we get more onto Twitch. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's gonna be happening in the future. Like what today is striving for, pretty much.
Hackable animals. The power to hack human beings can of course be used for good purposes, like providing
But
much
definitely for
better
sure,
healthcare.
with all this power
But if
being
this power
like
falls into the hands
available
of a 21st
to,
century Stalin, the result
I wouldn't say just, yeah,
will
just
be
to everybody.
the worst
There
totalitarian
could be
regime in
another
human history,
Stalin,
and we
another
already
Hitler.
have a number of applicants for the job.
'Thousands of Brits have been taken to the streets to peacefully
Hey,
protest.
fire, I know, right? 99%.
I'm a chef, and the hospitality trade is in ruins with the policies that are being put in place. And I was made redundant on the 3rd of July, and I've not been able to find work since. A couple more months, and I won't be able to afford my rent. But
As with all other COVID-related protests, this one was terminated early when the riot police aggressively intervened.
The music. Is the piano? Yeah, it's like piano happening.
I was quite shocked, particularly by the behaviour of the TSG riot police on the 26th of September, because the demonstration was absolutely, completely peaceful. Columns of riot police waded into the crowds, batons drawn, people were injured, people's faces were bloodied, a woman was pushed off her chair. That, to me, is unacceptable behaviour from that unit of the Metropolitan Police. Who gave the order for that to happen?
Right.
Chairman, I'm not sure if... I just don't know enough about the facts. I'm not sure if I can accept the premise of the facts set up by the member.
Couldn't even give like a real answer. And this guy just like need him.
Images of police brutality and unlawful arrests against people who are defending their human rights are also being shared around the world.
The French capital, once again the scene of clashes between police and demonstrators.
Y trabaja en la UCI. Te estoy grabando, hijo de puta.
Toda minha família se dedica à hosteleria. Eu sou hosteleiro, minha mãe, meu pai, todos. Sabe o que fazemos agora? Um caldo de merda com a pastilha de creme. Não tinha para manjar.
Piano, Jesus.
Nada. Nada.
Israeli police fired water cannons to disperse demonstrators.
Anti-government rallies have filled the streets of Serbia's capital, Belgrade, for a second day.
Oh, damn.
Police made 74 arrests and handed out 176 fines as protesters assembled for a second day in a row.
I'm so scared, it's ruining our business.
The testing is a sham. It's decimating our whole economy.
Oh, damn, yo. First was on his knees and they got just like curb stomped.
Rechtsanwalt Markus Heinz.
Damn, yo. She straight up just got pushed and wow, now she's getting just beat up. And she has her arms like to her back. We got up these like close-ups. People getting like maced.
I've been in law enforcement for 10 years. I've seen officers nationwide enforcing tyrannical orders against the people. Because every time I turn on the television, every time I look to the internet, I'm seeing people arrested or cited for going to church, for traveling on the roadways, for going surfing, opening their businesses, and arrest them and charge them with what? With a crime? I don't know what crime people are committing.
Chris X
we need to start looking at ourselves as
thank
officers
you so much for the follow.
and thinking, is what I'm doing right? Now, I want to remind you that regardless of where you stand on the coronavirus, we don't have the authority to do those things to people just because a mayor or a governor tells you otherwise. We don't get to violate people's constitutional rights because somebody in our chain of command
Hope you're enjoying what
tells us
you're
otherwise.
seeing right now. It's definitely an interesting thing we're gonna be talking about in the second portion
solidarity with protesters following
of this
18
stream.
days of protesting. At the end of World War II, a series of tribunals were held in Nuremberg, Germany, for the prosecution of prominent members of the Nazi Party.
Opening the first trial in history for crimes against the peace of the world imposes a grave responsibility.
Their defense that they were just following orders was not enough to escape punishment. That same year, Yale University psychologist Stanley Milgram conducted a series of experiments that tested whether ordinary people would inflict harm on another person after following orders from an authoritative figure.
150 volts. Answer, force.
Oh yeah, this test.
That's all. Get me out of here. Get me out of here, please.
Continue, please. Go right on.
I refuse to go on. Let me out.
The experiment requires you continue, teacher. Please continue.
Participants didn't know that the learner was really an actor, and the so-called shocks harmless.
You're gonna get a shock, 180 volts.
Alarmingly, the results suggested that any human was capable of this due to feeling disconnected from their actions when they comply with orders. Following the trials, the Nuremberg Code was created to protect people's human rights. They include: voluntary consent is essential. Human experiments should be based on previous animal experimentation, and experiments should be conducted by avoiding suffering and injury. With the current rollout of the COVID-19 vaccination program, we now see these fundamental human rights being violated again.
We and others in the post-war consensus led to an international law that says that no medical procedure may be performed on a human being without their informed consent, and they must benefit from it. Your government doesn't have the right to override that law. So if people are saying you've got to, otherwise you can't go shopping, or you can't go to work or travel, take them to court. It's absolutely illegal, and no one should stand for it.
75 years ago, Hermann Goering testified at the Nuremberg trials, and he was asked, how did you make the German people go along with all this? And he said, it's an easy thing. It's not anything to do with Nazism. It has to do with human nature. The only thing a government needs to make people into slaves is fear. And if you can figure out something to make them scared, you can get them to do anything that you want. Governments love pandemics. They love pandemics for the same reason they love war. Because it gives them the ability to impose controls on the population that the population would otherwise never accept. And we're telling them today, you are not going to take away our freedoms. You are not going to poison our children. We are going to demand our democracy back. Thank you all very much for fighting.
You know, 75 years ago, we had millions of men, 18-year-old boys, 19-year-old men, 20-year-old men, 23-year-old men, going out, fighting for king and country, for queen and country, fighting for liberties. These were brave, courageous young men. They were shitting themselves the night before they went to war. They were terrified, but they did it. And we now, today, us liberal intellectual men, we're too afraid to go on the street, to tear off a fucking mask off our face, excuse my language. This is the only time it is relevant to use bad language. We have got to step out of the indentureship, the enslavement, because it is not going to just remove itself. There is no rescue mission. There is no cavalry coming to rescue us. This is going to get a lot worse. And now we can see it's out of control. How many tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people around the world have died from other matters connected to the forced lockdown, the self-isolationing, grandparents unable to look into the eyes of their children and their grandchildren. These are crimes against humanity that cannot even be calculated, okay? But when the audit is done, and it will be done, we will see that this Corona crowning event was the crowning glory of the emancipation of humanity. It is time for humanity
I like how
to
they
reclaim
have
ourselves from this draconian tyranny.
These people like watching in the background. I doubt they are actually truly watching that that guy
So,
on the TV.
do you believe
Sacha
that
Stone.
receiving the vaccine will enable our lives to return back to normal?
You're quite emotional about that.
Well, it's just, it's been, you know, it's been such a tough year for so many people. You know, we can get on with our lives.
Or will we see a new normal? A world with harsh, tyrannical rules, governed by a centralised totalitarian state.
random Asian kid just turning his head with mask on.
Here's what Klaus Schwab thinks.
People assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had, and everything will be normal again in how we are used to normal in the old fashion. This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen. Cut.
Good editing right there. Cut it when he said cut. True.
There is an incredible movement.
Yeah. I was thinking of something else. What did he actually say? Where does this clip come from? Where like, boy looks up with mask. I wonder what the world is after all this. We'll see.
We are just going.
See, beauty of this, y'all, and why I kind of want to like watch these certain things or look at certain like news articles and stuff like that, especially on these streams, is because I record them. So I have this data. So if there's ever like oh my goodness, like this thing disappeared from the internet, I have these like videos on my hard drive. But we gotta remember these things. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, even with such things as like the new presidents and stuff like that, we gotta remember what they promised, this and that, to be like, oh, were they just politicians, this and that? Like, do they keep their word? Are they in the pockets of the deep state, this and that? But yeah, it is interesting to see what is going to be the future. But like I said with this video, that this is something that they're striving for. So let's see what he says. I bet I have to go back.
Here's what Klaus Schwab thinks.
People assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had.
It's a new world.
And everything will be normal again in how we are used to normal, in the old fashion.
Yep.
This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen.
Yep.
Cut.
That last part was just gibberish. The cut.
There is an incredible movement
Was that
beginning
for
to take
dramatic
form
effect?
here in Spain. A group of police officers have come together to start an organization called Policías por la Libertad, Police for Freedom. And now we are marching together with them, standing up for our human rights and constitutional liberties. History tells us that once the peaceful resistance gains the support of the police or the military, we have 60% higher probability to be able to dismantle a tyrannical government.
They needed that black screen
is
music
taking
drop,
place
yeah.
right now.
Oh, how things are produced and presented to you in a package.
November 2020, Stockholm.
Man.
Experts in healthcare, law and banking from around the world have formed an alliance with a mission to protect our freedoms.
Welcome everyone to Stockholm. My name is Professor Dolores Cahill from Ireland, and it is my great honor and privilege to welcome you to a worldwide organization, the World Freedom Alliance. And our goal is
it's all like cookie cutter documentaries
for what
super
is
cookie cutter
been happening, to try and coordinate that we can defend our freedoms and our rights, and that we can ensure that the governments that we elect will actually defend our freedoms and rights. So we want to educate you, we want to empower you, we want to welcome you to a world where you can be healthy, you can be free, and you can hold people to account if they do something wrong.
Many people have been hoodwinked into believing that the government give us our rights. That could not be further from the truth. Every constitution in the world is a code of conduct for governments to follow, to ensure and protect and defend and vindicate and uphold your rights, our rights, that have been given to us by our Creator. The government doesn't give us our rights. The government is obliged to protect those rights.
These positive images are
the
reassuring
complex
and
layers
provide much needed hope.
of everything.
But significant economic damage has already been done. This would inevitably leave many dependent on receiving a universal basic income, placing us in a weaker position to rebel or oppose their tyrannical terms. But this might be a long way off. Or is it happening already?
Given this significant
uncertainty, a worsening economic backdrop, and the need to give people and businesses security through the winter, I believe it is right to go further. So we can announce today that the furlough scheme will not be extended for 1 month. It will be extended until the end of March.
How will it end?
It won't end well. To be continued. And the entire like happy piano in the background, or hopeful. Happen.network would like to thank everyone on the front line, from activists to medical staff, who are treating the sick. Anything else? Also, thank you to all those who have contributed content to making of this video. Happen.network. Okay. So that was I want to say they call this like the Great Reset, fourth industrial revolution. So yes, that was that. That was a documentary. So the one thing I kind of wanted to get off, just like totally random and stuff like that, being someone who wants to content create or can kind of see the techniques of production and stuff like that, it kind of does suck to know certain things, because it does, I don't know, I wouldn't say it makes the world less colorful, but it definitely is like, you know how certain things are going to be produced to like stir up emotions and stuff like that. So like I said, documentaries are very cookie cutter. This one definitely for sure was, like I said, like we gotta watch these things and not blindly be like, oh my god, that's what like the world is, and you know, we have to follow exactly what this thing said. Like you gotta take it for, you know, what it is. Kind of definitely the things that it pushed for, because it wasn't an unbiased thing. It didn't want to just give out information as to just like the new things that are happening in society, which wasn't that bad. You know, it does give you the pros and cons, but it definitely wanted to lead in a certain direction for sure. So just a little more things to tie up the YouTube stream for now. I'm trying to keep these YouTube streams a little short and a little digestible for everyone else. At the moment, I'm keeping these. Hello, I sense a raid incoming. Yo, what's up, Universal Guard? How's it going? And yo, a raid from who? And yeah, that's dope. Hopefully that's true. But shout outs to you, man. How are you? Just got done with this video. Tinfoil hatting everything. I don't know. I wouldn't say tinfoil hatting, but like I said, let's wrap up the YouTube portion of this, because like I said, I want to keep these digestible, keep them about an hour so people can kind of just see what I'm about for the meantime. And like I said, hopefully this will progress to like a 7-day thing. Hopefully I get to do more of these. But unfortunately, a little boy, 9-year-old, died in San Francisco today. Or not today, probably sometime, you know, before this. Unfortunate. I actually have not read anything about this, to be honest. It just had that something happened like this in the Bay Area. Earthquakes are happening, crazy enough. So if you ever were thinking of like California hitting the big one, and yo, pretty good gaming rating with a party of 5. Hey, thank you so much, y'all. Thank you for the raid, y'all. Truly appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully the people rating me won't be too bored of the news. Come on, people from YouTube, I know, right? Just a sad time. I can't believe such a thing happened. You know, my regards go out. Can't believe such things happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you have to put like such a young person in such a like situation, you know what I'm saying? Had so much like growth. But who knows, maybe I'm not gonna say it. But it's just sad that life has been taken. This looks like what a bitter dispute over medical decision regarding the boy. Damn, about vaccinated. Was that truly the thing about getting vaccinated? And then it was just like, yo, whatever, I'm gonna take my life and I'm taking my kid's life with me. Yikes. Tragedy follows divorce from 5 years. Wow. Okay. So this was like something that was brewing. That's unfortunate, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. Lol starting the raid almost froze the computer. What the fuck? Oh snap. Well, shoot, it's hype. So epic that it almost broke your computer down. But yo, what's up? Pretty good gaming. Shout out to y'all. Hope you guys had a good stream. Yeah, I just watched this entire what's it? The Great Reset and the Fourth Industrial Revolution video. But yeah, this is the podcast. Shout out to you guys for coming through, giving me the raid. Shout out to everyone that's coming through. Hope you guys are having a good Saturday so far. And unfortunately, 23 people died in Norway after receiving the COVID vaccine. So this is all Cron 4 stuff. At least with like with these podcasts, I definitely want to keep, you know, the news of like, you know, trending news of like the world and all that jazz, but also, you know, kind of keep some news of the Bay Area, because, you know what I'm saying, my place is interesting, at least to me. Talks about earthquakes happening. There was like an earthquake in my area, like 925-ish, about, it was like a 3.9 or something, and now like there's one happening like in Gilroy from what I'm hearing, so who knows, maybe the big one is coming. How you been? We just been trying to survive from alcohol. I feel it, dude. I've been great. You know what I'm saying? Just living life, stacking money, seeing what I need to do investment wise, and trying to get all this settled. Definitely trying to, I don't know, do something new with the stream. I wouldn't say like I want just change to just do something different for the stream, but I kind of want like something solid. Or I know it's terrible how to describe it, but like, so I tune into this guy, and then he pretty much uses YouTube for like just like as another platform, and then it's like if it makes him money, it's like great, but then he goes on to like his like this other platform. So the guy is Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder is the change your mind guy. Like, he literally is that guy sitting down with the mug going, change my mind. And yeah, he has this sort of thing. I kind of want to do that. You know, I want to integrate more YouTube, but then I just don't want to ditch Twitch. So it's kind of like I might have to do that for podcasting, and, you know, hopefully this like grows. So, you know, just little projects here and there. But I've been doing great overall. But like I said, keep on clicking on this thing. Yeah, just doing great. Talking about, yeah, the Great Reset, Fourth Industrial Revolution, the future of the world. It's quite interesting, nonetheless. But it sucks to hear that 23 people have died after receiving COVID vaccine. That's not to say they actually died from the vaccine itself, but let's see what it says. 2 dozen total died within 10 days of receiving the first dose. That sucks. 13 were nursing home patients who were at least 80 and were apparently related side effects to the vaccine. Yeah, we were just watching, like I said, this video, and it talked about the vaccine. Lowell Crowder is pretty douchey. Changed my mind. Yeah. That is that guy. He for sure is a conservative, a Christian conservative, like to a T. Like, if you need like a poster child, like I would say he's like that guy for sure. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I listen to everybody, see what people have to say and their like views on shit. But other than that, I don't really like listen to the guy. Like I said, I tune in just to see what he does, just to see what he has like view wise, and just be like, but yeah, he does something like that. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna follow his little like ideals or his little like workflow with YouTube. But yeah, sucks about these COVID vaccine people. What does it say? It's really just like side effects. Side effects were like fever, nausea, may have contributed to a fatal outcome. Some frail patients. It's unfortunate. But yeah, how you guys? How is PGG? I know you guys had some crazy, or you guys were talking about some crazy alcohol thing you guys did yesterday with hella viewers, which is dope. Congrats to you guys. Yeah, people in TR were talking about a 5 or 4.5 earthquake. Yeah, big one might be happening. That's interesting. I'm not gonna lie, these earthquakes have been happening. So, knock on wood. Hopefully, the big one isn't like upon the horizon, because 2021 would definitely be nutty to say that. But okay, YouTube. Like I said, I want these videos to be short, so hopefully people that are just like coming through can kind of just digest these videos. I kind of want to make the podcast at the moment with the time that I have, at least this hour, is to give you up-to-date news, at least what's going on in the world, and at least Bay Area stuff. If you are here in Northern California, mostly Bay Area, I'm not really talking about SAC, but yeah. Bye-bye, YouTube. If you guys want to continue on more, for those that are on YouTube, you can definitely catch me on Twitch. Check me out there at twitch.tv, POV of theeOP. But yeah, adios, yo. Bye, YouTube.